The football tide has turned in Edinburgh. Alec McLeish and Hibs are kings in Scotland's capital. They claimed the crown in style in the last Edinburgh derby.
And it's been put in by Andy Kirk. Patalainen! And Patalainen has done it again! Latterby has tucked this through for Zitelli! Patalainen waiting for the cross! He's done it! And it's John O'Neill! Lovely 1-2! That is absolutely wonderful! And it's going to come to Cameron!
The new Hearts manager, Craig Levein, was a spectator that day. He played in plenty of these games, and now he gets a chance to sample Derby Day from the dugout. Today, exclusively live from the Bank of Scotland Scottish Premier League, a great rivalry is renewed. We're at Tynecastle for Hearts against Hibs. Well, Hibs have been one of the teams of the season, and that 6-2 derby win in October was the day that they really did hit top gear. Since then, they've stayed as the main challengers to Celtic, but with Rangers starting to close, they know they can't afford a dip in form. Hearts have derby revenge on their minds only 4 games into Craig Levein's reign, and they can look to their manager for inspiration. As a Hearts player, Levein lost only twice to Hibs in 14 years. Charlie Nicholas, quite a record, is it not?
It's a tremendous record. I mean, I remember time and time again when Hearts used to beat Hibs for fun. Means nothing as a coach, I have to say, to the big man tonight. He knows what he's in for. He has to rebuild Hearts, and it'll be a real tough test here again for Hearts tonight.
Could he make a difference to Hearts today?
No, I don't think so. I think he's too quick. I think what you'll hear Craig saying later on is that, you know, he doesn't really motivate his players. They'll do that himself. He just needs to tweak with it a little bit. But you have to say, going into this game in particular, that Hibs are strong favourites, and we know they can pass the ball well. They're a good side all round, so Hibs deservedly are favourites tonight.
And do you think Hibs will do it?
Yeah, I would think it's going to be a lot tighter in the last 6-2. I mean, I seriously hope we get a game like that again for the viewers and ourselves. But, you know, I think it'll be a lot tighter tonight, not just the fact it's at Tynecastle. And obviously Craig Levein is the new Hearts coach. But it'll be a tighter affair. But I do think the Hibs have a little bit more flair and a little bit of better balance. Yet again, more or less the same team. You know, only one missing, O'Neill suspended, which is a blow, but a better balanced looking side for me. OK, Charlie. Well, the league table going into today's fixtures sees Hibs in second place, 10 points behind Celtic and just 2 ahead of Rangers, having played a game more. Hearts are 5th, and they need to keep picking up points to guarantee top 6 status come the split. Now, the action's already started this afternoon in the Scottish Premier League, and these are the latest scores with just over half an hour gone. At Tannadice, it's Dundee United 0, Celtic 1. And here is how that happened. It was a penalty kick awarded to Celtic. Henrik Larsson threw in his own and brought down inside the box by Aljoffrey. Hugh Dallas pointed straight to the spot. Penalty Celtic, and Larsson himself got up to take the kick. And in the process, he scored his 24th league goal this season. So it's 1-0 Celtic. Let's have a look at the other latest scores. It's Dunfermline 1, Aberdeen 0. Stephen Crawford there after 13 minutes. At Fir Park, it's Motherwell 0, Dundee 1, Wan Sara of Dundee after 4 minutes. At Ibrox, it's Rangers 0, St Johnstone 0, and St Mirren 1, Kilmarnock 0. Graham Fenton, ex-Leicester and Blackburn after 14 minutes. And let me just update you, we are just hearing that Rangers have gone ahead at Ibrox. Neil McCann has scored for Rangers. Unbelievable. Well, Charlie, again though, things looking good for Celtic today. Jim, I was just ready to say to you 30 seconds ago, you have to think if it stays like that, Celtic are more or less taking the championship from Rangers, and then they go down and turn around and score, so unbelievable stuff. Amazing. Well, Hibs have spent the day waiting to see if that appeal against John O'Neill's red card at Ibrox on Saturday would be upheld to allow him to play this afternoon. With the result of that and the rest of the Edinburgh Derby team news, here's David Tanner.
Thanks very much indeed, Jim. I'm afraid there's bad news for Hibernian from the SFA. Earlier today, the Chief Executive of the SFA, David Taylor, met with Disciplinary Chief Jim Oliver And after discussion, they decided to turn down Hibernian's appeal against that John O'Neill dismissal against Rangers. That means O'Neill misses today's derby match. Just the one change for Hibernian, and Hearts are unchanged. Well, here's Craig Levine's first Derby 11 as head coach. It's the same side which beat Dundee United 3-1 here on Saturday. That means striker Andy Kirk and Scott Severin, who will play right wing back today, have both recovered from weekend knocks. Gordon Jury hasn't shaken off a thigh strain, so Gary McSwiggan is given his second start of Levine's regime in the striking role alongside Kirk. McSwiggan, together with captain Colin Cameron, is joint favourite to score Hearts' first goal, according to the bookies. Now in the left wing-back role, youngster Kenny Milne is the latest to try to fill in following the departure of Gary Naismith to Everton earlier in the season. Naismith was badly missed in the famous 6-2 demolition derby. No video evidence means no John O'Neill for Hibernian. The midfielder misses his first SPL game since joining from St Johnstone at the start of the season. Lyndon Andrews fills in on the left. The Trinidad and Tobago man will be given an almost identical role to O'Neill. Just that one change from Saturday's narrow defeat at Ibrox. That means it's a typical formation from Alex McLeish, with up front Derby hat-trick hero Mixu Patalainen and the bookies' favourite to score the first goal in the game, David Zitelli. Jim.
Thanks, David. Let's update you with the news from Tannadice. It's now Dundee United 0, Celtic 2. Larson put Celtic ahead, and now they've a second goal after 33 minutes. And it's Chris Sutton who's bagged that one. So Celtic are cruising now at Tannadice and looking good for another win there today. Well, today's game at Tynecastle is the second big away test for Hibs in the space of 4 days. The first came at Ibrox on Saturday against Rangers. Well, Charlie, this was a vital game for Rangers because they had to win this, didn't they?
Yeah, well, we said last weekend after seeing them at Tannadice, Rangers didn't, take advantage of the form they were showing in the first 45 minutes. I think it was a big game for both. Great effort there from Larson. And you have to say that, Hibs are starting to make impressions in me more and more. Not the fact that they're just sitting in second place. The fact that I think they went to Celtic Park early in the season. They probably were too cautious. I think they went to Ibrox and started to think to themselves, well, we'll be a little bit cautious. We can defend well. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there was chances missed by Ronald de Boer in the first half. But I think Hibs are starting to say to themselves now, if we're getting difficult to beat, we can go to Glasgow.
Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit. They're not obviously at the same level, but Alec McLeish's team, Ronald de Boer scored started the second half. It reminded me just a little bit of the way that Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen used to come and play against Celtic and Rangers in Glasgow. Not great fear. They would come and keep the ball, agitate the home team, agitate the supporters, and just wait and get that breakthrough. For Hibs it didn't happen. Second half was a little bit slack. Nick Colgan caught, Gary Smith caught the near post. But you talk about match winners, well, Advocaat's been telling us the last couple of days, Neil McCann can create and get this championship injection back in and start fighting Celtic a little bit more, and McCann's starting to respond. And
it boiled over a bit, Charlie, didn't it? Did Albert deserve to go here, do you feel?
Yeah, well, he lifts the hand. I mean, it's as simple as that. We know what's happening now, that referees have got to say if you lift your hands, then you will get an automatic red card.
And the Rangers fans
Smith had a little kick at him. He deserved a yellow card, which he got.
Yeah.
So Kenny Clark, who, in my opinion, Jim, has vastly improved this season. I think he's having a good season. He has a kick there, Smith. Not much in it. George Albert's very unlike him, I have to say.
Yes.
But if you lift your hands, you know what the consequences are, and it's a straight red.
Now, what about this then with John O'Neill?
Well, it's ridiculous. I mean, David Tanner was guessing earlier, thinking that John will probably struggle to get into the team tonight. But I think this is an awful decision from Kenny Clark. I really do think he gets his one badly wrong. You see Rayner, look, he's the one who's tackled him. He can't understand it. I think he gets his studs caught in Rayner's laces. Now, I think there's a little bit of cheek here from John O'Neill, a little bit of childish pranks, but if anything, it's a yellow card and nothing else. I'm really surprised it was a straight red.
They've got to be so careful, the players, haven't they?
Well, they have. I mean, that one, there's no merit in that one.
Well, Charlie, I can tell you another goal this afternoon at Fir Park. It's now Motherwell 0, Dundee 2. Juan Sara scored in 4 minutes. Gavin Ray has bagged one for them after 35. It's 2-0 Dundee. So let's get back to Hearts Hibs, of course, this afternoon. Let's hear from the Hibs manager, Alec McLeish. He's with David Tanner.
Alex, you got the news you didn't want to hear from the Scottish FA today. How do you feel about that?
No, my gut feeling was that they would dismiss our appeal. I think reasoning for that being that it's probably more political than fairness, I think. It would be open season in referees, and I've got to respect that decision. I wouldn't want to see that either, and they had to back the referee.
Was it? You said you weren't very confident. Why then put the appeal in?
Well, it was only latterly when I thought about it, you know, and I was thinking about the consequences if we were successful, and the referees' union would be up in arms about it, and rightly so. And I don't think it's healthy to be able to be in a position to do that. Maybe what the SFA have to do is look at the whole system, because they've now created a loophole with the Fernando Rickson problem, and they've got to sort the problem out.
Does John O'Neill feel let down by all of this?
John has pleaded innocence all throughout this, and I have to tell you categorically that we've got strict discipline in the club in terms of you know, the yellow cards and red cards, but John O'Neill will not be fined for this one.
How does this affect your planning? I mean, did you plan for him not being there when you were practising yesterday?
Yeah, we thought it was possible that he wasn't going to be there, so we did look at the possibilities, and Lyndon Andrews will take his place.
And you have to change your team for the first time in, well, a long time, I guess. John's been ever present in the league this year. How will that affect the way this game goes?
Well, hopefully Lyndon will slot in there no problem at all, because he's in there amongst some very good players, and if we play as we can play, then I would hope that could get us the points.
Alex, thanks.
Thanks.
Well, the goals are flying in this afternoon. At East End Park now, it's Dunfermline 1, Aberdeen 1. Dunfermline had gone ahead, but David Rowson has got things level for Aberdeen. It's 1-1. Charlie, let's get back to Hearts Hibs this afternoon, of course. Hearts go into this game after a good victory on Saturday against Dundee United, don't they? Yeah,
and I think Craig is gradually finding his way into the Hearts hot seat. There's no doubt about that. You know, I think when Hearts, I've always said this, even under Jim Jeffries, Colin Cameron is so vital. And many times have we seen this guy do this, even in a team that is struggling. Time and time again this season, he's the boy that's able to lift them. You know, if Hearts are still needing to sell players, then you would think there will be teams that would look to purchase Cameron. And I don't think they can afford to let someone as precious as that go. And this is one of the best OGs I think I've ever seen. Here it is. Full flight, Stevie Fulton starting to play more central midfield. He prefers that. He tries to get it round just to side the glancing header. Unfortunately for the lad, it flies in. But it's the way that the season's going for United. Look at that set piece, it's one of the worst I've seen. And yet Al-Joffrey with a beautiful left foot strike gets a little bit of dip. You know, I tell you what, it takes a good strike to beat Naimi. For me, probably been one of the best keepers of the season. Look at that. Always going away, got a little hand to it. But, you know, Hearts looking positive again. Lily, if I can say that.
Formerly off Hearts, of course.
Yeah, but, you know, we've seen him decent debut against Rangers. 2 rash challenges. Credit to the referee, let's play on to their advantage. And that's exactly what it is. It's advantage to Hearts. Gary McSwegan made it 3-1. The referee just bided his time. He's already been yellow carded, and he had to go back and say to Lily, the second game, I'm sorry, but you have to go.
That's twice you've praised referees this afternoon. I'm beginning to worry.
Well, I praised Kenny Clark in the first instance. I think he got it wrong in the second one. So, you know, referees deserve a little bit of credit now and then.
OK, so 3-1 Hearts. It finished. Now, Craig Levine's managerial record with Hearts reads played 4, won 2 and lost 2. Let's hear from him now. He's with David Tanner.
Craig, the bookies think that Hibernian are the favourites going into this game. With your derby record, could you agree with that?
Well, I've got a good derby record as a player, but I don't think that really will have much bearing on today's game. I think the bookies are generally right, and I would think on current form, I would think the Hibs are probably bookmakers' favourites.
That sounded as though you were writing your team's chances off. I don't think.
Yeah, favourites don't always win, you know. I've lost enough money on the horses to tell you.
How are you feeling going into this game? I mean, obviously, you've named an unchanged team today. Does that suggest there is confidence in the way that the team is playing?
I'm still finding out about the players and about the team. I think the lads that played last week deserve to get a shot playing in a big game like this. I think they handled themselves very well, and I know that they're determined to make up for any previous results that might have gone against them.
Have you had any trouble with motivation in this game? Have you mentioned the 6-2 game at all?
No, I didn't need to. I would think that most of these guys in the dressing room there will be aware that the pride was hurt last time they played, and I think that's all the motivation that's needed.
And significantly today, the SFA disallowed an appeal from Hibs to play John O'Neill today. How significant is that for Hearts?
I think he's a good player, and they'll miss him. But we're looking at our own performance today, and if we work as hard as we did on Saturday and play as well as we did, we'll have a good chance.
You're looking for consistency? We'll see if you get it. Craig, thanks.
Thank you.
Let me tell you, Celtic are now 3 goals up on Dundee United at Tannadice. Larsson got the first, Sutton got the second, and Chris Sutton has got the third. 5 minutes from half-time. That's his 11th goal of this season, and Celtic are absolutely in overdrive. It's Dundee United 0, Celtic 3. That's the latest score from Tannadice. Elsewhere, the other latest, it's Dunfermline 1, Aberdeen 1, Motherwell 0, Dundee 2. Dundee are going well. Rangers 1, Neil McCann, St Johnstone 0, and St Mirren 1, Kilmarnock 0. Now, of course, it's Derby Day in Edinburgh. Hearts want revenge for that 6-2 thumping back in October, but Hibs are the form team. The action, Hearts-Hibs, is on its way. Now, we're in Scotland's capital city for our live match from the Bank of Scotland Scottish Premier League. It's Hearts against Hibs. And it's the 79th Premier League meeting between these two. Hearts have won 30 to Hibs 17. And although the statistics show Hearts to be very dominant, that hasn't been the case in the last couple of seasons when they've only won 1 in 8. Their first meeting this season at Tynecastle ended goalless. Right, now let me give you a full recap of the score lines from elsewhere this afternoon in the SPL. These are all half-times. It's Dundee United 0, Celtic 3, Dunfermline 1, Aberdeen 2, Motherwell 0, Dundee 2, Rangers 1, St Johnstone 0, and St Mirren 1, Kilmarnock 0. But for us, of course, it's all about Hearts-Hibs. Charlie, let's talk now about a few of the players who are going to be on show this afternoon. You mentioned him earlier. You rate him highly. Antti Niemi, the Hearts goalkeeper. He didn't have a good time of it at Rangers, and he left a bit under a cloud there, but he's really come to life at Hearts, hasn't he?
Well, that would be a fair assessment of him, but I was really surprised that Rangers didn't play him, you know, more often.
More often,
I think whenever he played, Jimmy didn't let him down. This is a guy who's got the presence. He's, what, 6'4" or so. He's got the presence there. He doesn't dive and overcommit himself. He likes to stand tall, and he becomes difficult to beat. And again, it's like what we said about Colin Cameron. I think Cameron and this guy have been the two guys who have more or less held them together. A lot of world-class saves, this guy. You know, if I was picking two goalkeepers to probably be in the team of the season so far, it would be Nick Colgan, who I think had, you know, an exceptional first half of the season, and Niemi playing in a team who's been struggling. Look at that. I mean, that is world-class stuff. I have to say that the big fella, I think, considering he's played with a team who's been leaking in a lot of goals, has had a very, very good season indeed.
Well, of course, he's not the only Finn on show this afternoon at Tynecastle. Big Mixu Patalainen. Now, I said a few weeks ago he must be about 48. I was joking. He's been around a while, but he is having another really good season, isn't he?
Yeah, and he started scoring goals, and I think it's always a good sign. I mean, we don't often see him running away from defenders, but on this occasion he does. The big man is mainly there as a target. He's a target man, but if you give him a half chance to get onto things, he can read the situations. He's done it throughout his career, not just at international level, but also, you know, all over, especially in Scotland. But I think when you get service with people like John O'Neill, Russell Latipi, Frank Sosie, when you're getting service like this, you know, you've got to say to yourself, nice to see he turned the crowd round and starting to develop. He's also starting to score a lot of goals, so he doesn't need to be more mobile. Just stay in the areas and get a few goals for Hibs.
Oh, Charlie, from a fairly old striker to a young one who is making his mark, Andy Kirk of Hearts. Have they unearthed a jewel here?
I think they have. If they take care of him and they understand what his assets are, and I think it is actually adjusting into positions. I mean, this looks a simple tap-in, but he could easily have ran offside in that situation. Again, it's reactions. You see here, good left-foot strike, keeper not too clever. But I think he adjusts well. Here's a good example. Volley, just a little bit behind him. Lovely balance. And again, he's able to make those sharp change of direction runs. Half a yard on a defender, can pop up. For me, this is his best asset. Look at him here. You know, defenders are giving him that spare yard, but he adjusts to let it through his body. Again, if you're going to make mistakes, he's a quick thinker, isn't he? I think they got him from Glentoran. Jim Jeffries got him. If you make mistakes, this guy's quick. And he's very composed in the finishing department also.
He certainly looks in the mood, Charlie, that is for sure. The man, Big McLeish says, who holds Hibs together right now is a Frenchman, Franck Sauzet, and with his experience...
Have to agree totally with that. I think
it's been some acquisition, hasn't it, Charlie?
I think he's been wonderful, and I think the fact that he's just said to himself this season, time and time again, I'm probably going to have to play further and further back, which really means this sweeper role. I would have to say Henrik Larsson is banging goals in for fun, Jim, and Van Bronckhorst's injury early in the season rules him out. I personally think he is the player of the year so far. He's making them tick, he's making them pass. I've recently seen him against Celtic and Rangers, and every big game he is a guy who constantly makes passes all the time from the back. I think he's been sensational more this season since his first season.
Well, right now, Charlie, as we said earlier, Celtic and Rangers are both winning their matches this afternoon. Hibs need to win to keep up there, don't they? Will they do it? Where will this one be won and lost?
I think it's probably going to be down. We're going to, I think, see Hearts coming out and going to close Hibs down, especially in the midfield area. Obviously, now we know that John O'Neill won't be playing. I think Russell Latapy is a key player for them, as always. We look forward to seeing him. I just think sometimes that Russell goes a little bit too deep, and in a derby game, you want him to play a little bit further forward. So I look forward to that. If Russell can get a lot of the ball, he'll make things happen. I think then Hibs will win the game, but he hasn't scored in 10 games.
OK, Charlie, well, of course, we'll keep you right up to date with all the other scorelines from the games being played this afternoon in the SPL during our live match. And that one, of course, is Hearts against Hibs. Let's get to it and join Davy Provan and Ian Crocker.
Thank you, Jim. Well, it may be the season of goodwill to all men, but over the next 90 minutes at Tynecastle, I don't think so, because Boxing Day is Derby Day in the Scottish capital. Craig Levein played in a good few of these, but it's his first as manager. He's able to name the side that beat Dundee United here on Saturday. Veteran striker Gordon Jury misses out against his former club with a thigh strain, so Gary McSquiggan makes only his third start in 3 months. Watch out for two 21-year-olds, Scott Severin and Kenny Milne. They've groomed a few talented youngsters here. Same team, but a different formation, Davey.
Yeah, I think Craig Levein has paid Hibs a compliment here this afternoon, and he's changed from a back four to a back three. I think we'll see Gordan Petric pick up Miksu Paatelainen, given his aerial ability and his physical strength. Between them, Presley and Murray will have to look after David Zatelli. Tomaszek will anchor, but he also has a vital role when Hearts don't have the ball, because he's going to have to get tight on Russell Latapy. Further forward, the man you mentioned there, young Kenny Milne, naturally left-sided, and Hearts have lacked balance down that side, but this kid is naturally left-sided, and he'll be expected to get down the outside and get service into the box. If he does that, look for Scott Severin, Alan Colin Cameron getting themselves into the penalty area.
Well, this morning, Hibs lost their appeal against John O'Neill's red card at Rangers, so he is suspended. His replacement is Russell Latapy's Trinidad and Tobago teammate Lyndon Andrews, who makes only his third start, although he did come on as a first-half sub against Hearts in October. Apart from Andrews, it's a very familiar lineup. Latapy and Ulrich Larsson both shook off Ibrox knocks.
Yeah, it's a familiar system as well. They've tried and trusted now. Gary Smith, Sauzet and Fenwick, the best defensive record in the division. Franck Sauzet, of course, capable of stepping off the back and building the game for Hibs from the back there. Lovell and Larsson in the wide areas. Matthias Jack doesn't get too many headlines, but what a good job he's done there. And it's his willingness to put the foot in, show a bit of muscle in that area that lets the others in midfield do their stuff. Lyndon Andrews comes in beside him today for John O'Neill. Latapy absolutely vital, of course, and he'll float. There are times where he'll drift into this area. If he's not getting enough of the ball, if he's been closed down, you'll also see him push right out to the touchline to give Hibs an out ball. Further forward, Zatelli and Paatelainen, well, simply a partnership that gets better every time we see them.
It's the season to be jolly, but not if you lose this game. It's the third Edinburgh derby of the season. The first one on the opening day of the campaign ended goalless. The second one, anything but goalless, as Hibs thrashed Hearts 6-2. The Hibs have been gloating ever since that memorable October day. The Jambos are hoping it's payback time. Sosie ready to lead out Hibs. This really is the finest fixture Scotland can offer outside of the Old Firm. And as usual, there are scores to settle. A very big score to settle for Hearts, in fact, after their trouncing at Easter Road. Willie Young trying to entice the Hearts team out of the dressing room. They're keeping Hibs waiting. And I don't suppose they care one jot that they are doing so. Hibs and Hearts, head to head, feet to feet, and quite probably shoulder to shoulder now and again. It promises to be a cracking Christmas contest.
Yeah, I think it will be, and I think it's absolutely crucial today that Hearts don't sit back and allow Hibs to play, to pass the ball, because if they do that, I think Hibs are capable of passing them off the pitch. We were here earlier this season and we saw the exact same thing happen when Hearts stood off Kilmarnock and ended up chasing the game. We've got to get in about this Hibs side from the first whistle.
A packed house at Tynecastle, of course. Mixu Patalainen was Hibs' hat-trick hero on that extraordinary night at Easter Road in October. And he had one disallowed too, if I remember. Mixu's ready to mix it again. And that could be bad news for his fellow Finn, Antti Niemi, who's been on the end of 6-2 and 5-1 batterings in Edinburgh and Glasgow derbies. He's proved his worth, though, as a keeper, despite those miserable memories. Colin Cameron is Hearts' top scorer with 12, their captain, often their driving force. He'll be expected to run the show today. But Russell Latterby might have something to say about that. Latterby actually got a vote in the FIFA World Player of the Year poll recently, which put him level with Roy Keane, Dennis Bergkamp, Andy Cole and others. The man in charge is Willie Young, and we are almost ready for another engrossing encounter between Edinburgh's finest. Tynecastle's under-soil heating has been switched on since Friday and has come in very handy in getting this game on in snowy, icy Scotland. Hibs beat Hearts 6-2 when they last met. And if that won't fire up the Jambos, what will? There was an early challenge from Andy Kirk, putting himself about, and today to put yourself about, mind you. Lyndon Andrews, wearing number 15, looks a bit like Russell Latterby, his Trinidad and Tobago teammate, and already there are a few challenges flying in, Davey.
As you would expect, a few meaty challenges flying in already, and it may not attract quite the publicity that the Glasgow derby does, but this will be every bit as fiercely contested, I can assure you. And once again, this afternoon, a terrific atmosphere inside the old ground.
Tynecastle is always jumping on days like this, a compact stadium with an excellent atmosphere. Both teams hoping for some Christmas cheer. Hibs will be shunted out of second place if Rangers see off St Johnstone today, but maybe only for an hour or so. That'll be the plan anyway. Hibs have had the better of this fixture in recent times. Hearts, though, rule overall. Andrews. Now Paul Fennick finds in a bit of space Matthias Jack, who's tracked by the Slovakian Tomaszek, but Jack is still going, and he's got a corner.
Yeah, good persistence there from Matthias Jack, who was prepared to break from middle to front there. Not very often we see him do this, but quite happy to try and hit the byline here. And he gets his reward for his persistence. And a chance for Hibs to ask an early question of Antti Niemi.
The chap had to go off injured in the first half in that October game. We're hoping to last a little longer this time. Russell Latipi's corner, they tried this quite a lot, but it doesn't reach Frank Sosie. Cameron made sure of that. And Hearts not only survive that corner, they break themselves with Milne. Some run as well. He's a big lad, the 21-year-old, getting a decent run in the team, and they are encouraging their youngsters a lot at Tynecastle these days. They always have done, to be fair.
Just significant there that Steve Fulton gave him an early touch of the ball, even let him take it for a run, just give him a feel of the ball early on in the match.
Craig Levein with an excellent record in his playing days in Edinburgh derbies, and hoping he can continue that now that he's in charge. 2 defeats in 14 years as a player. To Hibs. Gary Smith leaves it for Latipi. Always a pretty good idea. Patalainen. Smith hassled by McSwiggan, making a rare start of late.
I just see again the way Latipi drifting out to the right touchline, and he's going to ask the question of Robert Tomaszek. Tomaszek then has to make the decision. Does he go all the way with him, or does he pass him on? And that's what Latipi does all the time. If he's not getting on the ball, he'll break onto the right-hand touchline so Hibs can find him.
There was a little doubt about Ulrich Larsson's fitness for this game. I think his fitness has just been tested.
Oh, absolutely clattered there by Scott Severin.
That was his fitness test.
A good contest down that side, Wayne, because Larsson likes to get forward. Scott Severin has the heart and lungs to work the entire side of the pitch. That's going to be a cracking contest.
It's aimed towards Patalainen. And Goran Petric gets the throw off the big fin. Hearts have lost 4 times at home this season in the Scottish Premier League. Too many for their liking. Now Stephen Pressley. Back it goes to Niemi. Free kick has been given. Willie Young on the scene.
Yeah, I think Andy Kirk just doing a bit of leaning here. Just eases Paul Fennick, leading with the left elbow as well there. Paul Fennick won't want to let Andy Kirk break in behind him, because this lad has the pace to kill you if he gets away.
Here's Fennick, and he has kept it in. Patalainen, and Fennick has continued advancing here. He's become a left winger all of a sudden. Colin Cameron looking to burst away for Hearts. Kirk to Fulton. Always a bit of a target for the Hibs fans. Pressley. Fulton again. Severin outside of him. And he's going to use him. Scott Severin's cross, cut out by Frank the Frenchman. And now Hibs could go on the attack themselves. Stuart Lovell. And it's too near Antti Niemi. Dunfermline have equalised against Aberdeen. It's 2-2, a goal right at the start of the second half for the Moroccan, Youssef Rossi, who missed the first few months of the season through injury. When the teams met in October at Easter Road, Hearts were already in front by now. Andy Kirk had actually scored, and they were in front for most of the first half, you'll remember. Hibs, though, had turned it around by half-time. Satelli fouled.
Yeah, look, clear enough. Grant Murray right in behind David Zitelli. He's going to be asked to mark the French striker. As we expected, Gordon Petric is going to pick up Mixu Patalainen. And Hearts, of course, been playing a back three, have that little bit more security today with Stephen Presley spare.
Paul Fennick's free kick aimed towards guess who? Patalainen. A right old battle between him and Petric. And Andy Kirk. He's on his way, but Frank Sosie's going to be in his way. Collision with Presley in the way, managing to see the funny side.
Once again, it's Ulrich Larsson who takes a sore one. Stephen Presley well late there. I just wonder how long Willie Young will allow this to continue before he produces a card. They want to keep the lid on this.
It's Latipi standing over the free kick. Gives it to Jack. Patalainen, away by Cameron, but Jack was there again. Now Andrews, and it had Antiniemi scrambling a little bit.
Yeah, just found a little bit of room here in a dangerous position, Lyndon Andrews. That's what encouraged him to get the shot away early. Stevie Fulton trying to close him down, and it's a decent effort that has Antiniemi scrambling across his left-hand post.
Fulton. Gary Smith, aware of McSwiggan's presence. It's going to come to Cameron. Fulton. Bounces off Andrews, but it'll be a Hearts throw. Stevie Fulton. And it was Andrews tapping his ankles, but Murray managed to seek out Cameron. And I think that might be a push by Gary McSwiggan on Frank Sosie.
That's a daft one because Frank Sosie's got nowhere to go here, Ian. Sosie's struggling there to make anything of that, and he'll be quite happy to get the free kick. It gets Hibs out, gets the back line pushed up.
Hibs beaten just 3 times in the Scottish Premier League this season by the Old Firm and, strangely, by Aberdeen. A bit of an off day for them. Here's the former Aberdeen man, Perry Smith, and he's hanging in there grimly. Larsson, who's been quite a fine back, Alec McLeish. Tomaszek. McSwiggan looking for a 1-2 with Cameron, but Lyndon Andrews is making up a lot of ground. Latipi. Patalainen has had a look, and he would have seen Zitelli in the middle and others arriving. He sought Zitelli though, but ultimately disappointing.
Yeah, I think he's hoping that Ulrich Larsson can make up the ground at the back post. He's just asking too much of him, but a delightful ball by Latipi over the top there to put Patalainen away. Zitelli comes into the central area, and I think Mixu Patalainen is hoping he's going to get a back post run here from Larsson. Just asking too much of him.
Well, it's a topsy-turvy tussle at East End Park, that's for sure. Aberdeen were 2-1 up, they're now 3-2 down. The former Rangers man, Barry Nicholson, on target for Dunfermline. No goals here in the Edinburgh Derby, which kicked off an hour later than the other games in the Scottish Premier League. Severin settling for the throw. He's nudged out by Andrews. Scott Severin signed a long-term deal with Hearts at the start of the season. Certainly a player with plenty of promise. One for the future, but one for the present too. He's knocked that one out though, and now it'll be a throw to Hibs.
I think Craig Levein will be happy the way his lads have started this game. They've been quite happy to meet the tempo that Hibs are trying to lay down here. They haven't stood off, and I think he knows the danger. If they stand off this Hibs side, they'll be in trouble. They've hustled, they've pressed the ball well.
Fulton tried to poke it through to Milne, who was actually coming in from the left. Andrews. And Hibs break with Andrews leading the charge. And he's rather crudely taken out by Stephen Presley, and that is going to be the game's first yellow card.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. Cynical challenge. Stephen Presley knows there's no one behind him here, because Mixu Paatelainen had dragged Gordon Petric away wide right, and had Andrews managed to go by him, he was in a good position. And I get the feeling that Willie Young will be quite happy to have produced the first yellow.
It might calm a few down, and again, it might not. So, some concern here for Antti Niemi. It's Sosi, and it's rising from Frank Sosi, but I'm sure we will see him do that again at some stage today.
Well, by his own standards, a poor effort, Ian. Normally you'd expect to see him get over that, just trying to hit it with the outside of his foot.
More goal news from Ibrox. Rangers look like they're going to jump above Hibs. 2-0 up against St Johnstone now, and Fernando Rickson, who's had an eventful time with it lately for one reason or another, has scored for them. First goal for them.
Well, there you go, Ian. I said Hearts can't afford to stand off Hibs, and you know, that stat tells it all. That's hanging about here.
Niemi having to come out of his box. Quality goalkeeper, Antti Niemi, but he's getting a bit fed up of being on the receiving end in derby matches. Played for Rangers when they were hammered 5-1 at Celtic a couple of seasons back. And of course, in the side, the Hearts side beaten 6-2 by Hibs earlier in the season. Lovell's throw finds Gary Smith. Jack. Fennick. Canadian international. Leaves it for Latapi, but promptly gets it back. And that time Hibs have conceded a foul now. Still got a bit of catching up to do on that front though. Hibs have won 3 of their last 5 encounters with Hearts. First foul committed by Hibs, that took them a quarter of an hour. Milne rose, McSwiggan! Ooh, so close, it was diverted wide for a corner.
That's a terrific glance on here by the wide player. And he gets up so well, Kenny Milne. Gary McSwiggan, well, terrific piece of striking this on the half turn. Just takes the glance off Sosi.
Hope for Hearts, Cameron's corner. Could be a break on here. Oh, Lyndon Andrews. Well, there's no free kick being given there as he collided with Stevie Fulton. I don't think Stevie was wishing him a happy Christmas either, Summer. Mistake by Latapi. It's let his opposite number 10, Cameron, in. McSwiggan. And here's Robert Tomaszek! Ooh, and he comes within a whisker of drilling Hearts ahead.
Well, they made the space well here, Hearts. Just worked it across from the central area to the inside right channel. First touch wasn't the best there by Robert Tomaszek. It wasn't a bad old effort.
The Slovakian international giving Hibs something to think about, but Lyndon Andrews is in need of treatment after his collision with Fulton.
Yeah, I think it's needless as well, because Robert Tomaszek is getting goal side. Yeah, I think you see Steve Fulton puts his hands up there. I don't think there's a great deal in that. Tomaszek was goal side anyway.
Well, Andrews knows what these games are all about, despite the fact that he hasn't figured much for Hibs this season. Alex McLeish did have to bring him on in the first half when Matthias Jack was injured at Easter Road in October. McLeish with a decent record in Edinburgh derbies, by the way. Just one defeat in 7. He's won 4 of them. So Andrews off the field getting treatment. Sosie. Smith. Zitelli lost his way a little bit. Here is Fulton, who certainly relishes occasions like this. Andrews being greeted back on the field, as you might have heard. Milne's throw. He'll get the chance to do the same again. But again, he might not, because it's going to be Stevie Fulton's turn. On by Milne, away by Sosie. Petric won the header. Another challenge which left Andrews floored. Gary McSwiggan has done wonderfully well to whip that off the toes of Lovell. Severin. And here's Tomaszek. Cracking cross. And Nick Colgan couldn't hang on to it, but Frank Sosie, how cool was that?
That's a good save at the front post though by Nick Colgan.
It's just a throw for Hearts.
Yeah, Tomaszek did well, just gets a yard here on Matthias Jack, and that's a good ball in. Super save there from Colgan.
Well, Kenny Milne has a problem now, whilst all that was going on.
Yeah, he clashed again with Lyndon Andrews just a few moments ago. And although he stayed on his feet for a few seconds after it, he obviously took a sore one there. Well, I think Andrews takes a sore one as well.
Andrews is okay this time. Oh, they're going to have to take him off. Kenny Milne is going to be replaced here. They've given the signal to the bench. I don't think he's going to be able to continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alan Ray, the physio, wants someone on urgently to get this young lad off, or certainly to get some attention to him. And clearly it's a more serious injury than we first thought. Alan Ray, the Hearts physio, signalling frantically to the bench there. I don't think there's any malice from either man there, Ian. They're just both attacking the ball as they're entitled to.
Well, if you thought it had been tasty so far, Gary Locke can't wait to join the action, that's for sure. Hearts through and through, but one of Tynecastle's talented youngsters, Kenny Milne, is sadly going to play no further part in this game. Milne stretchered off and in considerable agony. So Hearts forced into a change. But if anyone will fancy this game, it's him.
Yeah, he certainly will, and I just wonder what Craig Levein will do. He could move Scott Severin to the left-hand side, or he could move Steve Fulton out one. Steve Fulton playing one in at the moment from the touchline. Not the more likely option, I think, just to move him out wide left.
That's exactly what Craig Levein has done. And we're now ready to resume. Petric's header. Here is Andrews, who's certainly been in the thick of it so far. Smith. Latterby. It's actually a free kick's being given in favour of Russell Latterby. Willie Young not exactly endearing himself to the Tynecastle faithful. Fennick amongst those jostling for position, with Larsson and Patalainen in there too. Zitelli whips it in. It was away by Tomaszek. Henry Smith giving that one a whack. Ulrich Larsson. Looked like he might have lost out to Locke, who then fouled him.
Yeah, I think Hearts were looking for high feet here against Larsson. Certainly eventually getting away there from Gary Locke.
Didn't take long for Gary Locke to get involved, that's for sure. And Sosie and Latterby stand over the free kick. Frank Sosie will be hoping it goes better than his last one did. It's not too bad, and it bounced off the keeper, and Fennick couldn't turn it in. Poor Fennick was the closest man to Niemi. Meantime, here go Hearts, and Gary Smith has to slide in.
Well, to be fair, I don't think you can blame Niemi here. It kicks up right in front of him. They're a difficult one to take. Paul Fennick can't quite dig it out.
McSwiggan. Patalainen and Petric entangled again, and a free kick goes in favour of the Finn. Hat-trick hero against Hearts in October.
Pretty even in terms of possession, but I think Craig Levein will be the happier of the two managers, Ian. They really have pressed the ball well. They've been up for the physical contest, and Hibs really haven't had a chance at all to get it down and pass it.
Larsson. Away by Fulton, who has taken that left wing back berth. Kenny Milne has a badly gashed knee. Sosie touching that one out. Gary Locke certainly knows what these games are all about, and would have told everyone else who didn't know. Sosie. It's come to Fulton, who can hit them. Nick Corgan is there though.
I don't think he caught it properly. First touch bought him a little bit of time here. It sets up nicely for him. I don't think Nick Colgan was ever in any danger there of losing that.
Latterby. A little bit too casual. And Gary Locke is going to get a yellow card here. And it didn't take him long, did it?
Yeah, I can have no complaints either. He's just wrong-footed here by Russell Latterby. Latterby just drops the left shoulder here, steps onto his right side. I don't think Willie Young had any choice there.
Fiercely committed to the Hearts' cause, but a little too committed since his introduction to the action. Gary Locke joins Stephen Pressley in the book. Two men who had to tread carefully. Patalainen delivers, and Zitelli's header is well wide of its intended target, but David Zitelli does have a habit of scoring when we are around. In Hibs' 3 live matches on Sky this season, he's banged one in, and some beauties too. The festive feast of football on Sky Sports, of course, continues tomorrow with action from the Premiership. Sky Sports 1, and for Sky Digital viewers, is interactive coverage on Sky Sports Extra as Southampton take on Tottenham from 7. Kirk shrugged off Sosie's challenge. And a foul by Jack on Kirk.
I think that's sensible refereeing. I think Willie Young is going to give him the advantage here. Frank Sosie diving in. Kirk eventually gets away. I think Willie Young's trying to give him the advantage. Eventually, he was getting no advantage at all out of it. I think that's sensible refereeing.
Tomaszek amongst those waiting as Scott Severin prepares to float this one in. Nothing doing though. Patalainen's touch. Severin, who'd stayed over, was the man who intervened.
I think Scott Severin will be happy now just playing in the inside left channel lane. Give him more of a chance to get himself into the box, onto the end of anything that Hearts do get across the face of the goal.
Presley clears, and it could open up here. Little touch from McSwiggan, and Severin could try again after that rather unexpected 1-2 with Tomaszek. McSwiggan going to contend with Sosie. Now Gordon Petric, who's played in Edinburgh, Glasgow and Dundee derbies. Fulton steps away from that a bit. Approach it through for Andy Kirk, and Sosie reacted quickly, but it's a corner.
Good play by Steve Fulton. Terrific pass there. Hibs caught square for the first time in the match. Sosie does enough eventually. Kirk almost in behind there.
Hearts crowding out that near post area. Cameron's corner. Away by Larson. And Fulton unable to bang it back to Cameron. Hibs went into this second in the table, 10 points behind Celtic, 2 points ahead of Rangers, but the men of Ibrox trying to change that at the moment. They're in the second half against St Johnstone, and 2 up. Up towards Italy, fouled by the Frenchman on Grant Murray. Murray. Presley. Petric. That's a little loose from Colin Cameron, and Larson was able to nip in, and he doesn't quite get it back from Jack because Petric was in the way. Latapi, not quite sure which way to turn. Here's Zitelli though. He was closely watched by Murray, I think it was. Smith. Larson. Fennick is outside him. Smith. Now Jack. Gary Smith ready to deliver, but steered away by Stephen Presley. Helped on by Fulton. Kirk gives it back low to Hibs, and Stuart Lovell now. Well, he did most things right except the cross. There was nobody in that area for Hibs. Swiggan helps it on, and Tomaszek. No one in the middle yet, although Severin is arriving, and I think they're settled for the corner perhaps.
Yeah, just a lack of support there, but a good break by Hearts. Tomaszek, who spent most of the match trying to be aware of where Russell Latapi is, managing to get forward there. What a pace this game is cracking on at. Don't very much if we'll keep this up for 90 minutes.
Hearts' third corner. Fulton whips it in, but it's a comfortable catch for Colgan. And his outlet is Zitelli. Andrews. Latterby. And Gary McSwiggan's back to sort that out for Hearts. Well, the other Scottish Premier League games are in the second half. And Kilmarnock have equalised at St Mirren through Paul Wright. And a good day for Dundee. Juan Sara has got his second of the game. They are now 3-0 up against Motherwell at Fir Park. And they won on the opening day of the season 2. Those fixtures coming round again. Severin, Cameron, Fulton, and they all seem to get in each other's way, but McSwiggan will present it to Gary Locke. Stumbling a little bit Locke though, and Larson able to bring it away. Now Latterby, and he ran into Cameron. Intriguing battles out there on Derby Day in Edinburgh. Cameron and Kirk. Well, he might still get there, but Colgan quickly out. Kirk had to check he was onside.
It's played onside in the far side by Ulrich Larsson there. Once again, Hibs just caught a bit square at the back there.
Here's Jack. Will scoop this up. Latterby. Sozi. Patalainen have made the run. Now Jack. Patalainen looking to turn provider. Stuart Lovell's coming in, but Antonieri says, I'll have that, thank you. And he releases Severin. Tomaszek. Jim Jeffries signing from Slovan Bratislava, $500,000. Locke. And Gary Smith couldn't take any chances there.
Yeah, he did the right thing, and he doesn't know what's going on his blind side there. Gary McSwiggan was just coming around the back of him there.
Tomaszek closely watched by Fennick. Crowded at that near post. Cameron sends it in. It's Gary Locke, but he's turned it over. There's been another goal at Tannadice. Guess which way it's gone. Celtic have scored again. Didier Agat involved. And his cross turned in by Stilian Petrov. What a season the Bulgarian is having. Looking a real player. His 7th of the campaign. Dundee United 0, Celtic 4. Celtic then could go 13 points clear of Hibs. They're in the second half in the other games. We're in the first half here. Less than 10 minutes of it remaining, and it's a typically captivating contest between these Edinburgh rivals.
Yeah, I think Alan McLeish will be hoping the pace drops a bit. I don't think they're happy with the tempo of this game.
Cameron, McSwiggan. Fulton. Stevie Fulton finds Tomaszek. His cross though met by Sozi. Fulton dips in, now Severin. Petrich on hand, likewise Presley. His 7th Edinburgh derby, only 1 win so far for Presley. Given away by Locke. Lyndon Andrews. Paul Fennick, who was drifting around Scottish football a little bit at Morton and then Rafe before Alex McLeish moved in for him. Latterby. Smith. Fulton. Sosie. Couldn't keep it in. Hearts with just one win in their last 8 Edinburgh derbies, hoping that it'll all come right for them today. Murray. I think that's going to drift away from Gary McSwiggan. Alex McLeish coming up to 3 years in charge. Couldn't stop Hibs going down, but brought them straight back and sorted them out, really. He's actually the second longest serving manager in the Scottish Premier League now, behind Bobby Williamson. Not quite so long serving, Craig Levine, who's just taken charge after Jim Jeffries' departure. This is his 5th match in control. 2 wins, 2 defeats. Petric. Presley. In fact, when you come to Tynecastle, you usually get a definite result. There hasn't been a draw in the league here since the opening day, when Hearts Hibs finished goalless. Kirk flicked it on for Gary McSwiggan. Lock. McSwiggan just bounced away from him.
That wasn't a bad ball. I think the surface beat him as much as anything else. Pretty greasy surface we have this afternoon, and I think that more than anything beats Gary McSwiggan.
McSwiggan and co are up against the best defence in the Scottish Premier League. Hibs have only conceded 14 goals. And there's a big reason why. Nick Colgan, although he's been rather ably assisted by a strong defence. Niemi's huge kick towards Kirk, away though by Smith. Lock. On by Kirk. They might get another chance. Smith though, with a vital touch. Cameron. Fulton. Stevie Fulton. Hasn't got any support whatsoever. Might not need any. Wonderful from Fulton. And it's a goal kick.
Terrific footwork by Stevie Fulton, but Paul Fennick does well here at the front post for Hibs. Lovely play by Stevie Fulton to leave Latipin level for dead, but Paul Fennick immediately across to the front post there. There's no way that was going to cross the face of the goal.
Stevie Fulton certainly had them on their feet at Tynecastle then. Zitelli. And now Larson. And Stuart Lovell with a wonderful opportunity, which he has taken. And Hibs strike first in this Edinburgh derby. Stuart Lovell.
Well, significantly enough, and it's the first time in the match that Zitelli gets away from Grant Murray on the left-hand side. Little reverse ball for Larson. Loveland in the blind side of Steve Fulton. Doesn't see him coming, but what a good finish. Larson time to look up. Lovell at the back post. That is a terrific finish. And to be fair, can't blame Antti Niemi. The first time he's been left exposed this afternoon, and Hibs got the payoff.
Well, Stuart Lovell gets a lot of stick from the fans, but his manager is always quick to praise him. Tomaszek is going to dribble behind for a goal kick. Well, there have been plenty of encouraging signs for Hearts, but Hibs broke away and smacked one in here.
It's anything but an easy finish as well, Ian. He's just hoping it sits down, it doesn't take a bobble. And he goes for the precision. good finish.
His 5th of the season, his first away from Easter Road. Latifi, now they're in the mood, and Niemi was on collision course almost with his fellow countryman Patalainen, but he blocked it out of the air. Larsson couldn't keep that in, the provider for Lovell.
Well, both Larsson and Lovell did well for the goal in, but it's significant that David Zitelli and Grant Murray has marked him superbly since the start of this game. It's the first time that Zitelli's managed to get a little bit of space, and the reverse ball put Larsson away on the left-hand side.
There will be 2 minutes of added on time. Still a couple of minutes of normal time to go. Paul Fennick ready to take this throw. Fennick. It drifted away from Patalainen. Petric gives it to Fulton. On their city rivals, who would merely underline what a sensational season it has been for them. Everybody's been expecting them to fall away, but that's not part of their plans. The old firm certainly know that Hibs are about, although significantly 2 of their 3 defeats have come against Rangers and Celtic away from home for Alex McLeish. In fact, their only defeats away from home against the big 2 from Glasgow.
That's a sore one for Craig Levein because Hearts haven't done anything wrong in this match. It's just an example, you know, if you're playing against a good side, and Hibs are a very good side, you really can't afford to switch off at all. They've had one clear chance in the match, Hibs, and they've taken it.
Russell Latifi. Perfect pass for Fennick. Jack. Hit back before half-time. Scott Severin. Petric. Murray. Tomaszek. It's promising this. Cameron. Tomaszek. Severin. He's going to go for goal! And it was very awkward right in front of Nick Colgan. That it's a corner.
Yeah, it's not a bad save at all, Ian. Don't think he can afford to try and catch this. He knows it's going to kick up just in front of him. Decent effort there by Scott Severin. I think all Nick Colgan is thinking about there is getting that round the post.
Colin Cameron's corner, and Colgan able to get a very firm grip on that one. We are now playing the 2 minutes of added on time in this first half. Tomaszek. Severin. Severin's cross, and Larsson was well aware that Gary Locke was behind him. It's another corner though. What Hearts would give for a goal here, right on the stroke of half-time. Gary Locke sends it in, and Nick Colgan takes that.
Yeah, not for the first time either, and it makes life an awful lot easier for those in front of him if it comes as positively as that.
Well, it's half-time at Tynecastle, and it's the Hibs who are celebrating. Stuart Lovell fired them in front, but Hearts might feel a little hard done by. Zitelli found Larson, and Lovell escaped the attention of Fulton, and they made it look simple, really. Celtic 4-0 winners at Dundee United. That's a result, so Hibs will be hoping to keep in touch with them at the break in the Edinburgh Derby. They lead by 1-0.
Live darts coming up for you this week. It's the 2001 World Championship. Our live and exclusive coverage begins at 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoon on Sky Sports 1. OK, it's our live match this Boxing Day, and it comes from Tynecastle. It's the Edinburgh Derby, of course, and it's Hibs who are in the driving seat. Stuart Lovell got the goal. It's Hearts 0, Hibs 1 at the break. We've had two bookings in that first half, both of them Hearts players, Pressley and Locke. They've been cautioned. But really, not much to choose between the two in this first half. It's a very, very evenly contested Edinburgh Derby, and it's 1-0 Hibs at the break. Well, that's the story here at Tynecastle. Let me give you the SPL results from the rest of this afternoon's action. At Tannadice, it's Dundee United 0, Celtic 4. Larson with a penalty, Chris Sutton got 2, and Stilian Petrov, that's Petrov's 7th of the season, 4-0 for Celtic. Dunfermline 3, Aberdeen 2. Crawford, Rossi and Nicholson for Dunfermline. Rowson and Dow for Aberdeen, but 3-2 Dunfermline. Motherwell 0, Dundee 3 at Fir Park. Sarah got 2 there for Dundee, and Ray got the other one. 2 sendings off there, Stephen Nicholas of Motherwell, Morocco of Dundee, but that's a good win for Ivano Benetti's side. Rangers 3, St Johnstone 0 at Ibrox. McCann, Rickson and Torre Andre Flo, 3-0 Rangers. And at Love Street Paisley, it's St Mirren 1, Kilmarnock 3, Graham Fenton for St Mirren, but then a Paul Wright hat-trick for Killie. 3-1 for Kilmarnock. That's a great result for them, a big win. Paul Rudden of Saints sent off there. So as things stand, Celtic lead the league by 12 points from Rangers, who go second. But if Hibs hold on and win this afternoon at Tynecastle, they themselves will retake second spot. So Charlie, an eventful afternoon. Let's get straight into the action at Tynecastle. How good is this game? You're thoroughly enjoying it, aren't you?
I really have. I mean, we were waiting in the 0-0 half-time, and I think it probably merited 0-0, not in terms of being negative, but being very positive. And I have to think that Craig Levein will be slightly disappointed. He has to be, because his team's pressed. I think we actually called the game before kick-off, and we said Hearts would press, they would annoy them, would pester them. Hibs had a little bit more quality, and I think that's the way it's panned out. I think Hearts have pressed well, probably had a little more of the say. Probably in this last third, they've knocked a lot of balls in. McSwegan, he might have been a bit unlucky, a bit lucky, whatever way you look at it. He comes off Frank Sosi, who I think is another very, very sound 45 minutes, and it just goes over the bar. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck in a big derby game. It's been Davies bang on yet again. You know, Hearts coming closer. The tempo of this game has been, I mean, these players are sitting in here at half-time, they ain't getting any juice, they're getting oxygen, because they've been bang at it, the two of them. They deserve a lot of compliments for what they've gave us. Naomi, again, he's played very well.
He did well there.
It's a nasty bounce. What he does, look at the reaction. He's straight to Fenwick immediately. And I think Zitelli, he does skip away. It's a little link up with Lawson. But what a superb finish this is. Stuart Lovell, I think the last few weeks, his manager has said he's been playing absolutely outstanding, very consistent. Stevie Fulton went to sleep. And that was the change Hearts had to make. And what a fantastic finish from Lovell.
So
Great first half, Jim.
That's his story, Charlie. Well, it's Boxing Day. They are happy. They are Hibs supporters, because Hibs are 1 up in this Edinburgh Derby. The second half is coming up after this. Well, there's live Premiership football on Sky Sports tomorrow night. We're at the Dell for Southampton against Tottenham from 7 o'clock on Sky Sports 1, and interactive for Sky Digital subscribers on Sky Sports Extra. Right now at Tynecastle, it's the Edinburgh Derby this Boxing Day, and it's 1-0 to Hibs. A bit of news on Kenny Milne of Hearts, who was taken off in that first half. He's got a gash in his knee, which was too deep to stitch. And sadly for Milne, he's been taken off to hospital. We wish him well. Charlie Nicholas, what about the goal that splits the two sides? You've been raving about it.
Well, it was actually the change that Craig Levein was forced into. You see Stevie Felton's left in the left-back position. What we do know is Stevie's not really naturally gifted in defending, but what a superb move.
Let's get to the second half and rejoin Ian Crocker and Davy Provan.
Cheers, Jim. Well, Hibs have already recorded 6 victories on their travels in the Scottish Premier League this season, double the amount they managed throughout the whole of last season. There were signs last season, though, of what they were capable of. Not on quite the consistent scale, though, that they have showed this season. It's Hearts who will start the second half, 1-0 down to their rather fierce city rivals. Hibs have been shunted out of second spot by Rangers' 3-0 victory over St Johnstone. I'm sure they will have something to say about that, though, over the next 45 minutes. Hearts currently in 5th place, lagging behind the top teams in Scotland. First minute of the second half, Steve Fulton's free kick met by Sosie.
Many times have we seen that, though, in the delivery not clearing the first defender. In that case, it was Frank Sosie again. Hearts' final ball, and it's, particularly in set pieces, has to be better.
Fulton, Presley, Tomaszek. He's going to run into Larson. Now Zitelli, a bit of space around him, more than he perhaps realised. Latapi. Gets a second chance, Russell Latapi. Andrews. Larson, who really has been a superb signing. Little was known of him when he arrived in Scotland from Odense in Denmark. He'd actually been there for 12 years, all his career, although he's only 24, so they're obviously snapping him up at an early age. Snapped him up even. Patalainen. Sticking with him. Here is Larson. Tomaszek caught by Matthias Jack. Sosie looking for his fellow countryman Zitelli. Lovell, the goal scorer, now Latapi. Zitelli again. Jack. And the 1-2 works, and Matthias Jack goes through! And an excellent block by Petric.
What a goal that would be. Terrific passing move. Hibs at their very best there as they move the ball freely.
Sosie unruffled by the presence of Kirk. Well, we've seen so much flowing football from Hibs this season. That was just another example of what they are capable of. Lovell, oh, it's going to break here for Lyndon Andrews. He's got Zitelli to his right, and he's found him. Zitelli! So often specialises in the spectacular when he comes to scoring goals, but it didn't happen for him then.
That's a glorious chance here because he has plenty of time. He's walking on to this. Time to open his body up here. Well, it may have taken a bobble, but you'd expect better from a man of this technique. Previous to that, wonderful passing movement from Hibs. Matthias Jack stepping into the breach there. And Craig Levein had Gordon Petric to thank for the late block. And I do think, Ian, as the pace of this game drops, if Hibs do get a bit of time and a bit of space to get it down, Hearts are going to find it difficult.
Andy Kirk is going to get a yellow card for that challenge on Lyndon Andrews, who seems to have been on the receiving end a few times today. Ouch. Andy Kirk joins Gary Locke and Stephen Presley in the book. Sosie's free kick, Patalainen. And Kirk left Larson almost in the stand. Cameron's making a magnificent run in the middle. Kirk going it alone and wasting the chance.
Yeah, mix up the touchline between Paul Fennick and Ulrich Larsson here. Paul Fennick leaves it, thinks Larsson's going to win it. Andy Kirk didn't hang about to ask any questions. I think he does the right thing here. Once he's on his left side, he has to try and get the shot away. Couldn't quite keep it down. But this is the kind of spirit that Hearts are going to need if they're going to dig themselves back into this.
He actually scored in that 6-2 defeat at Hibs in October, the first goal of the game, in fact, Andy Kirk. Zitelli, and he's put it through for Latapi, and a wonderful save from Niemi keeps Hearts in it.
Oh, it's a good block. Latapi just drifts in behind Steve Fulton here, and Robert Tomaszek. It's a good save. Niemi got the angles absolutely perfectly there.
Russell Latapi hasn't actually scored since that superb sixth against Hearts at Easter Road, but he does offer them a lot more. Zitelli's corners are usually not bad either, so of course that one was cleared by Kirk. Sozi, Zitelli, and Cameron clears as Fennick rushed in. Latapi, Zitelli. Again, Hibs trying to string some passes together, but Severin stepped in for Hearts, and now Niemi can clear. It's onto the chest of Sozi though, leaves it for Latapi. Paul Fennick, Katalainen being chased by Petric. Fennick, who actually played for Birmingham City a few years ago. They were his first British club before he moved north of the border. Patalainen's flip. Rather, Larsson's flip towards Patalainen, but a free kick conceded by the Hibs number 9. Presley. Away by Larsson. That's come off Grant Murray, so it'll be a throw to Hibs. Patalainen's flick going nowhere. Hibs with the best defensive record, remember, in the Scottish Premier League. That's what Hearts are up against. And incredibly, they've only conceded a first half goal in 4 of their 23 league games this season. They are used to keeping it tight, but Hearts will be hoping they can find a gap or two. Hibs are having a good spell though, with Latapi now. Larsson, but Gary Locke was there, and now Cameron is away, assisted by Locke. And it goes, and McSwiggan stumbled. Gary Smith let it go for the throw. Smith, who fell out of favour at Aberdeen last season, having started the first few games for them, all of which they lost. But he hasn't had too many bad games for Hibs, that's for sure. Jack.
Did well.
Andrews takes over. And he gives it to Patalainen. And a fantastic save from Patalainen's fellow Finn, Niemi.
That's a terrific save. Patalainen just drops off Gordon Petric here onto his left side. And Niemi, well, perhaps even with his wrong hand here, because it's his left hand he takes it with. Good save, but Hibs now just starting to measure their passes, starting to pick holes in the Hearts back line.
Latapi's corner, and Niemi struggling a little bit, but he was fouled, that's why. Free kick.
Well, with Mitchell Patalainen around, certainly the goalkeeper's not going to be allowed to make an easy catch. Oh, what a terrific save this was by Antti Niemi. Full tilt with the left arm there. may yet make a difference. Well, Hibs still having the better of it, and I do think as this game goes on, Ian, that we will see Hibs get into their stride in terms of their passing game. The more time they have, the better the side they are.
Well, Hearts are going to bring on the Spaniard Juanjo shortly. That one carries through. Juanjo about to make his 50th league appearance for Hearts. Cameron's clearance cannoned off Lyndon Andrews. Sosie away to Smith. Andrews facing John O'Neill today. O'Neill suspended after his red card at Rangers on Saturday, and after an appeal against that, failed this morning. Fennick. That'll be pretty easy-ish for Antiniemi. Lock. Zitelli latches onto that. Latapy. Russell Latapy gives it back to Zitelli, and Lyndon Andrews trying to get in, but Niemi smothers.
Yeah, it's a terrific break once again, Louis. Zitelli came short, then went long there, lost Grant Murray, just tries to put Andrews in at the back post, and Niemi did well to charge it down. And once again, it was Russell Latapy at the heart of the move.
And whilst we were watching those replays, Gary Locke booted one into the stand, much to the dismay of the Hearts fans, who see Scott Severin making way now for the arrival of Juanjo, who scored against Hibs on the last day of last season. They could do with another from him.
I just wonder where he's going to play. They can't play through the middle lane, but Hearts really haven't managed to get down either side tonight. They play between middle and front.
Bobby Robson at Barcelona. Juanjo. Patalainen has shaken off Petric. Zitelli and Lovell in the middle, but it doesn't reach either of them. Presley made sure. It's come off last, and it'll be a goal kick. Craig Levein, so solid as a player for Hearts, and now in charge of them. He won a few Scotland caps as well. In fact, his first one against Argentina in 1980. Saw him play alongside one Alec McLeish. They are together again on the touchline. Jack. Zitelli for Latapy. Lovell, the goal scorer. Zitelli leaves it for the Australian. Lovell to Patalainen. Lyndon Andrews with a wholehearted challenge, but now Fulton. Tomaszek.
They've got to back four now, Hearts. Gary Watts is taking a step, one back. Juanjo's going to play wide right in the midfield four.
Juanjo. Gary Locke is on the scene too. Inviting centre, but once again, Sosie is there. The Hearts fans urging their team on here. Locke put under pressure by Larson, but he's escaped him. And look who clears it again, Sosie.
Yeah, but at least they're finding a better angle from which to deliver the ball in. Gary Locke now starting to get down the outside of Juanjo. A bit more encouraging for Hearts.
Juanjo leaves it for Locke. Fulton. McSwiggan. Oh yes! He squeezed it in. Gary McSwiggan, and Hearts hit back. It's 1-1.
That's a miss on the half volley. Look at that. Didn't have to be asked twice. On the half volley, bounces just in front of him. And to be fair to Colgan, it was never getting to that, bending away from him. Terrific striker's goal from Gary McSwiggan.
Superbly squeezed into the corner by McSwiggan, who was top scorer at the Hearts last season with 15, but he's had an indifferent campaign this time around. McSwiggan got his first goal for over 3 months against his former club Dundee United on Saturday, and he's followed that up with an equaliser against Hibs. Ian Murray has come on for Ulrich Larsson in the meantime. The 19-year-old has played in an Edinburgh derby before. Lyndon Andrews has found a way through. Oh, and he couldn't find a finish. It's a corner, but what an excellent effort from Andrews.
Yeah, I think he might just have been squeezed out here. Hearts tried to hold the line. Andrews trying to get in behind them there. Did well. Stephen Presley gets the slightest of touches here, and just enough there to protect Antiniemi.
It's a corner to Hibs. It's end-to-end excitement at Tynecastle. Siteli whips it in. It's met by Gary Locke. Lovell's cross. So, in all the flurry of activity, Larsson has gone off. He actually took a knock at Ibrox on Saturday and was replaced then by Murray. Maybe feeling the effects of that. Smith. Lovell. Sosie to Latapi. Here is Ian Murray, who played here on the last day of last season. And Hearts won 2-1. Going to pull out of that with Tomaszek, but with a header from Murray, does carry back to Colgan, but there's so much going on now, it's difficult to predict what will happen next, as usual on derby days. Locke's clearance, Kirk on to McSwiggan, who was fouled by Gary Smith. It's a free kick.
The Hearts are up to gear now, Ian. What a lift that goal has given them. Not just on the pitch, but the response right around the stadium. The home support right behind their lads now.
Here's Quanjo, doing what he does best. Well, booted away by Pennick.
They were queuing up at the back post, had the delivery been better.
Quanjo kicked it in. Not that it mattered much in the end. Pennick's clearance went to Fulton. Katalainen charging in. Petric. Presley. Firm pass back to Niemi, and it needed to be with Siteli lurking. Murray's header. That's one way to clear it from Petric. Just too high for McSwiggan. Murray, and Siteli is in there, but Presley stayed calm and stayed firm. Did very well. Might have got a free kick anyway, but the referee played the advantage. And Murray snapping that one out with McSwiggan in close attendance. Suddenly the Hearts fans have real belief. Gary Locke has let that one to St Johnstone at the weekend. Hibs are home to Dundee United. Series of throw-ins down in that area. Quanjo. A massive collision there. Fulton has got the free kick. Frank Sosie. Foul.
Yeah, I think Mixu Patalainen felt he should have been awarded a free kick for the challenge by Stephen Presley. Eventually it's Frank Sosie here who's penalised there, leading with his studs on Steve Fulton. And Willie Young only a couple of yards away, perfectly placed to call it. And what a difference that goal has made to Hearts' attitude now.
Murray being hassled by Lovell, has to go back to Presley. He might have to go back even further. Matthias Jack, well, Cameron was as busy as ever, and Gary Smith just took it away from Kirk. Lovell. Straight down Petrich's throat, but he presents it to Latapi. Tomaszek had a little kick at Latapi then, but the free kick's actually given for Locke's foul on Murray.
Yeah, not a great deal in this. I think perhaps Willie Young gave that really because he's trying to give Latapi the advantage. Previously there was no advantage in it. I think that's why he's given him the soft one here.
Latapi finds his fellow countryman Lyndon Andrews. He's on his way again. Now Matthias Jack. Lovell taking on Fulton, but he's forced into the corner, and he has got the corner. Stuart Lovell, scorer of the Hibs goal, had a spell in English football with Reading. So can Zitelli come up with one of his classic corners here? Straight into the side netting from Zitelli. So no is the quick answer to that. Zitelli normally has something up his sleeve when we are around. Hibs fans will be hoping he does this time. Here he is. He loses out to Tomaszek. Locke leaves it for Niemi, making his 50th appearance for Hearts today. His first was against Hibs in a 3-0 defeat a year ago. Lovell will get the throw off McSwiggan. Lovell's throw, Matthias Jack, steered away by Presley for Murray. Between them, Presley and Murray clear. Colgan will have that. Tomaszek's touch. Kirk looking to help it onto Quanjo, and Murray's header wasn't good enough, but the bounce eluded the Spaniard. Here's Colin Cameron though. Now Tomaszek, away by Sozy. Steve Fulton latches onto it. Hearts are taking it to Hibs now. Locke. Wanjo. Gary Locke's cross. And just too high for Kirk.
They worked the space so well down the right-hand side of the way. For the first time in the match, Hibs looked rattled. Once again, they managed to get Gary Locke down the outside, past Wanjo. It's a far better angle from which to deliver the ball.
Hearts looking to mount another attack. Hibs can't dig it out at the moment. Wanjo. Cameron. Now they might, because Fennick has stepped in. Here's Russell Latterby. Frank Sozy ventures out from the back. Lovell. Andrews. Fennick. Smith. Zitelli. Across to Andrews. Latterby. Wanjo, though, won it back. And it drops again into Wanjo's path. And Lyndon Andrews with the foul. Wanjo not impressed, to say the least.
He's breaking into a great position there, just driving at Hibs there at the back. As the space opens up there, well, Andrews always struggling to make up the ground. Well, he'll say he took some of the ball, but in fact he didn't. Andrews certainly took a sore one. But to be fair to Willie Young, once again he was right up there with the play to call it.
Lyndon Andrews dishing some out. So Latterby protesting on behalf of his fellow Trinidad and Tobago international, but Andrews, first Hibs man to be booked. Wanjo is near the free kick. Cameron is there too. And it's Wanjo! Ooh, a very, very close one.
That's a good effort. To be fair, I think Nick Colgan reads the script here because they cross very quickly there. Good technique though by Wanjo, gets plenty of action on the ball there, gets it up and down.
Craig Levine hoping for a victory in his first Edinburgh derby as coach.
Well, just about level there in terms of attempts at goal. But Hearts really have responded well.
Matthias Jack. Patalainen. Now Murray. Ian Murray taking on Locke. Oh, Patalainen was unmarked. And Niemi foiled him.
It's Gordon Petric who's been picking up Mixu Patalainen from the first whistle, who switches off here. Patalainen comes blindside of him here, just loses him at the front post. I don't think he realises he had as much time there as the ball comes in. Gordon Petric standing static there. He had a bit more time than he knew there, Mixu Patalainen.
In comes Latterby's corner. Andrews intervened. Matthias Jack pushed over by Gary Locke, who's already on a yellow card, remember. He wasn't going to get another yellow for that, but he did kick the ball away a little bit. Niemi sorting out his wall. 5 men in it. Frank Sozy, but the wall broke very, very quickly, and Grant Murray snuffed it out. Latapi's throw. Niemi comes to collect. Edinburgh's finest, locked together at 1-1 with just over a quarter of an hour remaining at Tynecastle. Jack. Sitelli was stretching. Pitridge towards McSwiggan, who got a whack on the head from Gary Smith, and he will need treatment.
I don't know what Williams given here, whether he's given a free kick or not. Ian. Certainly Gary Smith was leading with the left elbow there. Levine reckoned it was a free kick, and if it is, it gives Nats a chance here to get a shot on target. Certainly within range. What a terrific goal by Gary McSwiggan. And this is what separates strikers from the rest, the ability to take that kind of chance. And it's not even a chance, it's a half chance at best. It bounces right in front of him. And, well, intuitively took it in the half volley, and what a good job he made of it.
He's one happier then than he is at the moment. There's more action from the Premiership tomorrow night. It's Southampton against Tottenham. Glenn Hoddle taking on the team that he graced as a player. And it's from 7 o'clock on Sky Sports 1, and interactive coverage available on Sky Sports Extra. One whack on the head for McSwiggan, but he's okay. And I think the referee just stopped play so that treatment could be given.
It'll take him a few weeks to get that Vaseline off the head as well.
The fans setting themselves up for a thrilling finale to this Boxing Day derby. Fulton. Juanjo. As lively as ever. Locke. Tomaszek to Cameron. Presley. Niemi's kick. McSwiggan did well to nudge it on. But here's Fennick. Now Smith. Lovell. Patamainen. Russell Latapi. Juanjo's got back.
Yeah, I did well there because Latapi's just trying to get across the front of him there.
Locke's throw. Kirk. Fennick looking to stay with him. Kirk's centre, but nobody in the middle.
Bad ball in. It's the stage in the game where midfield players will be starting to feel the pace a little bit, less inclined to get forward into those areas. Mindful too that if you lose a goal now, well, he's certainly done.
Gary McSwiggan. Sosie's gone out to him. Murray. It's retrieved by Matthias Jack. Presley's header, but it's gone straight to Latapi. Jack. Smith. Andrews available. And it just eluded Zitelli. Gary Smith on the end of Niemi's huge kick. Fulton. Andy Kirk. It's actually come off Kirk. It'll be a Hibs throw. Stuart Lovell. Heading towards the last 10 minutes, and don't even think of tipping a possible winner here. Although Hibs looking to break through, Gary Smith of all people, but across comes Stephen Pressley. Which way is it going to go in the Scottish capital this afternoon? Latterby. He's not giving it away. Fennick. Smith. Lovell. Jack. Up to Zitelli. Pressley close by. Close enough.
That'll be second half Stephen Presley, sir.
Kirk trying to catch out Frank Sosie. Needs to be something special to do that. Lovell. Jack. Latterby. He was looking for Patalainen. Jack manages to help it on to Murray. And Wanjo doing a magnificent job tracking back there. Boy from Barcelona. Locke's throw. Could get the chance to take another. Wanjo. Colin Cameron. Sosie will let that go for a goal kick. McLeish's men certainly not having it their own way this time around in the Edinburgh Derby after their awesome 6-2 win over Hearts in October. Now Wanjo. McSwiggan in the middle. Kirk arriving too. Oh, Gary Smith didn't make much contact, but it's come off Tomaszek and it'll be a goal kick.
A terrific ball in from Wanjo. And they've managed to get into these areas so much more since they went 4-4-2. Whipped into the perfect area there, coming away there from Nick Colgan.
McSwiggan, and he's got away from Fennick. Gary McSwiggan. Oh, and it bobbles through to Colgan.
He only had one thing in his mind there, didn't he? Get the shot away.
Locke finding Wanjo. Tomaszek. Fennick intervened. Now Jack. Latterby shrugging off Fulton. Stuart Lovell arrives on the scene. Latterby. And Russell Latterby. I think that might have hit his own man, Patalainen. Or rather, Jack. Zitelli unable to keep it in. And after a rather busy day yesterday, he's enjoying this one. Kirk. Sosie takes over. trouble. Murray. He's done well. Now Zitelli. Stuart Lovell's making a good run. It's going to get to him eventually. Jack. Andrews. Murray. Tense times at Tynecastle. 5 minutes remaining. Latapi. Now Gary Smith. Lovell. Jack. Not the best of first touches, you have to say. And Stephen Presley booted it away.
Well, Hibs sharing it in terms of possession, but I think Hearts have had the better quality of possession in the second half. Where it really counts, they've looked a more dangerous side for me.
Zitelli's kick, but it doesn't trouble Antiniemi too much. Gary Locke stirring things up for Hearts now. Quanjo. And Gary Locke's continued running. Can he get a cross in? He can. Away by Fenwick, but only to Quanjo, whose touch, unusually for him, let him down. He was seemingly stumbling a little. Cameron. Lyndon Andrews, though, trying to charge out. Gary McSwiggan won it back fairly, said Willie Young. Fulton. Quanjo. He's got past Murray. Goes to ground. Nothing doing.
Well, he's looking for a penalty. Willie Young had a long look there. Ian Murray just leaning in there as Quanjo tried to get to the line.
Pantalainen. Russell Latapi. Foul from behind by Gordon Petric, and Hibs will fancy this. Zitelli floored.
I don't understand this one at all here. Petric's goal side in complete control there. David Zitelli going nowhere, and he's given Hibs a free kick in Frank Sosie range.
Before it can be taken, Zitelli's going to have to get up, which he has now managed to do. Everyone holds their breath at Tynecastle. Frank Sosie, ooh, it took a vicious deflection. I think it finally came off a hit quality, in fact.
It can certainly come off Grant Murray first of all. You see it come off Grant Murray's right elbow there. Not convinced it caught anyone else.
There will be 3 minutes of added on time in this Edinburgh derby. It's 1-1. Sending it back to Colgan. Ooh, could have gone anywhere, and it's certainly not beyond the bounds for McSwiggan.
He's always looking to get the shot away. That's the one thing you say about Gary McSwiggan. You give him half a yard at your peril.
Colgan, and Gary McSwiggan.
Always looking to take it early.
Petric is going to get a word of warning from Willie Young. So it swings back in favour of Hibs for a moment as they look to snatch a winner. Paul Fenwick. Up towards Patalainen. Now Latapi. Andrews on hand. Latapi again. Quarterback delivering. Does now. Zitelli was in there, but it was taken away from him. And Steve Fulton. Oh, I think Matthias Jack's going to step in there. He's going to get to this as well, but he can't cross it at all. It's a goal kick. Time to pick your man of the match, Davey.
Well, no shortage of candidates. Certainly in the second half, Stephen Presley has been outstanding for Hearts. Beside him, Grant Murray's had a terrific game. For Hibs, Stuart Lovell's been terrific, but I'm going to go for the Oldrian again, if you will excuse me. Go for Mr. Sosie again. He's been first class, and it can't be easy at his age, used to playing European football, to come into this kind of derby match, but he's been absolutely superb tonight again.
35 years old, yet to lose to Hearts. But here's Andy Kirk. Cameron and McSwiggan are in the box, but Andy Kirk decided to go for glory, and that went whistling towards the corner flag. Craig Levein maybe getting a point then out of his first Edinburgh derby as coach. Has certainly had a few draws in his playing days in these games.
I'll tell you what, if he gets this effort off his side every week, Hearts will do all right.
Well, there's going to be a big change with Andy Kirk being replaced by another of the teenage brigade at Tynecastle, Stephen Simmons, who came on for his debut for the last 7 or 8 minutes against Dundee United on Saturday, and he's on again. There's some story of he snatched a last gasp winner. Free kick given against Patalainen, so a chance for Hearts to hit and to hope. Just over a minute of added on time, and Patalainen is going to be shown a yellow card.
Yeah, it's just a back chat. I have to say I agree with Mixer Patalainen. I thought he should have had the free kick there.
Smith, but a Hearts throw. We're in the last minute of the 3 added on. It would be a very Merry Christmas for Hearts if they could get a winner. Tomaszek. Sosie in his way. And a foul by Andrews on Simmons. Gives Hearts renewed hope of last gasp glory.
They've got to send. I'm surprised Stephen Presley hasn't gone up as well. Petric has, but this has got to be thrown into the back post here.
If we're going to get a winner, it's going to happen now, I think. The seconds ticking away. Juanjo delivers. Hibs hold firm. And Stuart Lovell seeks out Zitelli. Fulton gave it straight to Lyndon Andrews, but actually a free kick's been given for a foul on Fulton, so Hearts will get the chance to pop one into the box again. There's no time to do it, in fact. It finishes at Tynecastle, and Craig Levein's Hearts gave it their all, as they have to do on days like this, holding Alex McLeish's men. First draw on this ground since the opening day of the season, when it finished goalless between Hearts and Hibs. Stuart Lovell and Gary McSwiggan with quality goals, but in the end, in this Boxing Day derby in Scotland's capital, there was no separating these fierce rivals. Larson's centre, tremendously turned in by Stuart Lovell, but how about this for a finish too from Gary McSwiggan? It's one way, then the other, often end to end, but a point apiece in the end. It finishes at Tynecastle. Hearts 1, Hibs 1.
Good stuff, we enjoyed it. Now, still to come tonight, over on Sky Sports 1 next, it's wrestling action in WWF Livewire, followed at 7 o'clock by Premiership highlights in our Boxing Day football special. We look ahead to the great year of sporting action coming up for you in 2001. In what a year! And at 10 o'clock, there's a Premier League special celebrating 500 live matches on Sky Sports. It's cricket on Sky Sports 2 tonight from 6:30, action from Australia against the West Indies and South Africa against Sri Lanka. And there's Masters football at 9:30 and continued live coverage of Australia against the West Indies at midnight. Well, there's Championship snooker here on Sky Sports 3 tonight at 6:30, followed at 8:30 by World Championship pool, and coming up next on skysports.com TV on Sky Digital, you can catch up with all of today's results and news in Results Extra. But at Tynecastle, it was a great Boxing Day Edinburgh derby, and at the end of it all, the points were shared, but it really was pulsating stuff right to the last, one each. Reaction after this. Well, a smashing Edinburgh derby this Boxing Day, and 1-1 it finished. 21 attempts at goal throughout the afternoon. It was great. 5 bookings this afternoon. Patalainen and the hard-tackling Andrews of Hibs, Locke, Presley and Kirk of Hearts, they're all booked. It was a close-run thing in the first half, and Hibs went in at the break, 1 goal to the good, Stuart Lovell. And again, all very even, really, in the second half. As the eventual scoreline reflects, 1-1 it finished. Now, man of the match, Frank Soze, the Hibs skipper, and his Hearts counterpart, Colin Cameron, are both with David Tanner.
Frank, congratulations, you're the Bank of Scotland SPL man of the match. Do you feel as though you should have taken more from that game?
I think it was a good game with two good teams, and for us it's a good result, the draw. Maybe at the start of the second half we had some chance to score, but we didn't, and after Hearts play well and they score, I think, a logical goal.
Colin, did you feel as though it was a fair result, or did you feel as though you could have taken all 3 points?
No, I think it was end-to-end stuff, you know, right to the end. Both teams were trying to win it. From a neutral point of view, I think it was quite entertaining. You know, you could see all the commitment was there right up until the last whistle, and probably a draw was a fair result.
Do you think you could have scored more goals if it had not been for the form of Mr. Soze here?
Yeah, well, he's shown his experience, you know, throughout the season, and he deserves his man of the match award today because his reading of the game's very good. But unfortunately for us, you know, he was on top of his game.
Frank, David Provan in commentary was wondering how, at your age, you managed to cope with the pace of these derby matches in Scotland. How do you do it? What's your secret?
Red wine, you know, French red wine. No, I feel well. I think it's important in my age to feel well in your team. The atmosphere is absolutely superb. The Scottish life for me is wonderful. No, I feel well. I would like to play 2 more years if it's possible. I feel well, and I want to work in this way.
What about the situation pre-match when you heard that John O'Neill was not being allowed to play in this match? How much of a blow was that for Hibernian, and how do you feel as though you coped?
Oh yes, John is a big player for us. He proved from the start of the season. But I think in Hibernian you have a team, and today we try to play without him. I think we played well, but for us John is very, very important, of course.
And Colin, you had to make changes as well in the game. Kenny Milne's injury forced you to reshuffle. How do you feel as though the players cope with that?
Yeah, we took 5 or 10 minutes to cope with it. You know, we got to feel sorry for Kenny. It looked a really bad one. Hopefully he'll recover quickly. You know, like I say, you've got to get on with it, and you know, we try to change things about. And in the second half, you know, I think we gave as good as we got.
And both of you looking forward to the winter break and the game to go?
Sorry?
Looking forward to the winter break?
Yes, of course. Two more game, and after, yes, a break, I think.
Okay, well, it's time to present the man of the match, champagne. Sorry, it's not red wine, Frank.
No problem. Champagne is French, also.
Congratulations, Frank. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
All the best.
After all, show me a Frenchman who doesn't like champagne. They invented it, didn't they? Good old Frank Soze. He's having a great season. Charlie Nicholas, was a draw this afternoon about right, do you think? They think, so do you?
Yes, I do. I do believe 1-1 was a fair result, fair reflection in the game. Although I did think in the first 5 minutes or so of the second half, Hibs yet again had it in the palm of the hand, and it was down to a few missed chances, but you have to give Hearts credit. Craig Levein and his team, great spirit tonight. They kept going right for the 90 minutes, and I thought it was an exceptional 90 minutes we had tonight.
As you rightly emphasised before kick-off, Charlie, Hibs had the better players this afternoon, but Hearts battled.
Plus, the season's been going so well, so smoothly for them. You know, the tightest defence at home. Probably some of the players are looking at it thinking, why are these guys like Gary Smith and Fenwick, why are they playing so well? Well, of course, Nick Colgan's been playing well, and Sosie has been quite outstanding again this season. But I did think that the balance that Hearts have, and I think that the way that Hearts have always played in the derby game, you're always asking for closing down, be aggressive, get the tempo of the game up. Now that's fairly natural when it comes to a derby, but I think that we've seen before in Alec McLeish's teams, it can be a frantic pace, which it was throughout the 90 minutes tonight, but they are a side who like to play. They're comfortable passing the ball, they can play little angled and triangle passes, and I think now they certainly believe in their coach's ability to say, go and express himself. The one little edge I keep saying about Russell Latifi, I think he's quality. We love seeing him, he's a great entertainer, but he's not scored in now 11 games, and that sometimes is just not driving Hibs into where they've been for the past 5 or 6 weeks, which was very close to Celtic. May I just say about this goal again, Stuart Lovell I thought was another solid performance. He makes up 10 yards than Stevie Filton. We could be negative and say Stevie's defending was awful, but come on, let's be fair. Compliment must go to Lovell. That's a quality finish, a great pass to set him up, and I thought it was probably the best move of the first half. It was wonderful to watch.
Did you think Hibs would go from there and go on and win this game?
Yeah, as I say,
were you surprised that Hearts came right back in?
This period, Matthias Jack, he could have squared it to Patelainen, but it was such a dynamic run. Look at the penetration, taking out 3 defenders. He more than deserved to at least have an attempt. This was another example. Zatelli, well, he always scores for us, doesn't he? He's got great technical ability. I think he didn't really get in the last man very often tonight. This is where one time he did. He has to keep it down. He just leaned a little back in it and it drifted. And I think from then, he still felt, you know, Russell Latifi, this is what I say about him. We've been so deep so often. He's a great passer with the ball, he has all the gifts. But because he's not scoring goals, that's where the confidence is just
Hibs aren't benefiting, are they?
That's where they're not getting the rewards, Jim. And I think at this stage, Alex will be saying to himself, guys, for the 10 minutes they started the second half, we could have been 4-0 up. The game could have been finished. We could have passed all night. We could have been sitting in second position again. That's where he wanted and expected to be.
So at the end of the day, do you think Craig Levein is more happy than Alec McLeish tonight?
Yes, I think he is, and because of this turned it for them. Sure, I mean, Davey says it's a half chance. I don't even know if it is that much.
It's a wicked shot, isn't it?
It's always spinning away from Nick Colgan. He actually touches it. And I tell you what, credit to the keeper for touching it, because it was a great strike. It deserved a goal. And I thought after that, I thought 2 teams who were tiring a little.
Was that a penalty, Charlie? Wandro?
No, I don't think so. I think Ian Murray did lean into him, but Wandro had the advantage. I think the cover is coming now. There you go. Wouldn't be surprised if it was Sosie. It was probably Fenwick. But I thought it was a marvellous, entertaining 90 minutes, worthy of a 1-1 draw, and I think we have to say both teams played very well.
Well, Charlie, Alec McLeish has been watching the story of the match at Tynecastle. Let's hear from him now. He's with David Tanner.
Thank you, Jimmy. Has indeed been watching it. Alex, I think it might have been a frustrating viewing that for you.
Yeah, I thought it was 2 points we dropped, but you know, credit to Hearts, they battled away, and when you don't get that second goal, you know, the other team's never out of it.
You saw there a number of chances to finish the game. Will you be looking at that when you talk over the game with the players?
No, a bit of bad luck, you know, front of goals, and some great goalkeeping by Ante and Niemi. But we had a fantastic spell at that time, and if we'd scored a second goal, it would probably have put it beyond reach of Hearts. But you know, they got a wee break. McSwiggan's pretty deadly round about the box in those situations, and we were punished for maybe a wee bit of slackness there, or one wee bit of slackness all night. But we passed the ball very well tonight, and I thought we played some excellent football.
Would it be fair to say that one of your defenders, or perhaps your goalkeeper, should have got in the road of that shot from Gary McSwiggan for the goal?
No, I haven't seen it on television there. You know, it's a bit of a daisy cutter. He's hit it well. It's sweet as a nut, and possibly we could have closed them down a wee bit quicker. You know, when in the loose ball was Stuart Lovell's challenge and Tomacek.
Before the game, we spoke about John O'Neill not being allowed to play in the game. How do you feel as though Lyndon Ando was played and the team coped with the big change?
Well, John O'Neill's a big player for us, but I thought Lyndon Andrews was superb tonight. The wee fella did well. The one area his game he has to brush up on is his awareness when we don't have the ball. People making runs off of him. But this game has taught him a lot tonight. Education-wise, it was a fantastic experience for him. I think it'll do him the world of good. Thought he was excellent.
Do you feel as though this Christmas period where you've lost a game at Ibrox and drawn a game here could be costly to your Champions League ambitions, however strong they were to begin with?
We've had two difficult away games at Ibrox and at Tynecastle. We've got 1 point out of the 6. That could happen, but I'm disappointed we've not got more to show for our efforts over the 2 games.
Alex, thanks.
Cheers.
Alec McLeish there. Speaking quite candidly, Charlie,
yes.
he's right. Hibs have had 2 away games, Rangers and Hearts, 1 point from 6. In your belief, how damaging is that to their title challenge?
I don't think it's damaging, because I've always believed, and I think Alex agreed with us, that they will not win the championship. This championship is between Celtic and Rangers. It always has been. Hibs deserve enormous credit for what they've given us so far this season, which is not just entertainment, but they were keeping the whole thing going. And I would have to say, so far, he has to be delighted the way the seasons went.
Well, 1-1. It's a good result for Hearts and the new man, Craig Levine. He's with David Tanner.
Craig, Alex McLeish felt he should have won that match. What do you think?
Alec always says that, doesn't he? Well, I suppose on chances at the beginning of the second half, we lost our way a little bit in the first 15-20 minutes of the second half, and they cut through us like a knife through butter a few times, and we have Ante Niemi to thank for keeping us in the game. But we weathered that, changed things a little bit, and I thought our first half play probably deserved a goal.
You had to change things in the first half when Kenny Milne was sort of injured. How do you feel as though the team managed to reshape itself?
Well, that was always going to be a problem for us, because, as you know, we struggle for left-sided players anyway. And Kenny played well on Saturday against Dundee United, and I was pleased with his effort, and I thought, well, we'll give him another shot, and I thought he'd started the game fairly well. And then obviously that caused us problems, as Stevie was the only natural one to go and play out there, and to his credit, he stuck at it.
Stuart Lovell managed to break free to score the opening goal for Hibs. Do you feel as though his run should have been checked?
I think it started earlier than that. I think that Patalainen got a header unchallenged. Grant Murray went to ground against the telly. Larsson wasn't picked up, so pick any one of those. And also Stuart Lovell's wasn't picked up with a run, so it could have been stopped a lot earlier.
Gary McSwiggan got the equaliser, great finish from him. What kind of future has he got at the club? There's been speculation that the club can't really afford to keep him.
Yeah, I don't know who told you that.
I've been reading it in the newspapers, so as everyone else has.
Well, that's your problem, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so tell us the facts of the situation and clear up.
Gary's a player who's very much in our plans here, as you can see by the fact that he's playing. So I don't know where these stories came from. I think if you see anything in the paper about players leaving here, they'll have a quotes attributed to myself.
Craig, I'm out of here. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You better, David. Craig Levine there. Now, coming up, news of what went on elsewhere in the SPL this afternoon, including the goals from Tannadice, where Martin O'Neill's Celtic went in against Dundee United. 1-1 in the Edinburgh Derby this afternoon. Charlie, Celtic went to Tannadice to face Dundee United this afternoon. You had to think before this match that they would win it, and they did win it, comprehensively. Well,
it's okay thinking that way. We went there with Rangers just the other week, Jim, and it was the same thing. We thought when Rangers get the first goal, which they did, then it would be about how many they wanted to score. Dundee United are fighting for to, just get off the bottom of the table. It's always a gamble to making challenges like this in the box. Your timing has to be spot on. Larsson, a lot of people are saying he's still not banging for him, but he is banging for him and scoring goals. He's scoring for fun these days. Bobby Petr, not great defending. Chris Sutton, the place where he made his debut, got his season off and rolling with the goal. The winner on that occasion. Look at the defending here. Compliments to Bobby Petr. There's the right thing knocking it across. But Sutton hungrier than 3 other defenders. 2-0, I think the game is over then. Alex Smith won't be happy, because I think he would expect to at least make it harder for them. Again, defending is poor. But Chris Sutton, now just coming back into form, just getting his fitness back after taking 2 or 3 weeks off. And that's a lovely header. That's what he's good at. That's what we expect him to do. And I think this is a massive result for Celtic. I really do. I think they're 2 games away the next 2 home games before the winter break.
And still in Petrov.
Petrov, 7th goal of the season. That's some return from midfield, isn't it? He's playing well under O'Neill. I think if Celtic win their 2 next league games, Jim, I think they could look at the championship as being champions.
Celtic flying 4-0. They won at Tannadice this afternoon. Let's hear what Chris Sutton and Martin O'Neill thought of the game.
O'Neill, 3 vital points again today. An outstanding performance really by Celtic, but give me your overall view of the game and how it went.
Well, just like you said, I thought we were outstanding. I thought we were terrific. The match itself was very tight early on, no doubt about it. Rob Douglas has made a great save for us as well. He's growing into the job without a doubt. His handling has been superb the last couple of matches. And but you knew that against Dundee United, who'd played extremely well against Rangers. And here this was going to be a difficult game for us. Difficult in normal circumstances, but in terms of here in a Boxing Day with a decent crowd, I knew it was going to be difficult. I'm just delighted to have won for a start, but delighted the way we played. Absolutely delighted with that.
And 2 goals from Chris Sutton. He's presumably back to full fitness, or how is the toe injury?
Well, yes, he is. He's getting fitter by the day. It's the first time now in quite some considerable time that he's been able to train for a week. We threw him in against St Mirren last week, and I knew that he just wasn't properly match fit. But today he was absolutely excellent for us, and he deserved his goals.
Martin, I know you've been playing down about talks of the league championship and all that kind of thing, but in your heart of hearts, you must be very satisfied with the way things have gone.
Well, I'm very satisfied. I mean, it seems sometimes it seems like 2 minutes ago. Other times it seems like 10 years since we were actually here, opening day of the season, last Sunday in July, and we have been relatively consistent. That's what we've done. But we know, and I know I'm going to bore you now by saying that 1,000,000 miles to go. There'll be lots of points to play for. We know that ourselves. I'm delighted tonight. We'll travel back down in the bus there to Celtic Park. We'll think about the game, think how well I think we've done in the match, then forget about it and get on then to Saturday's match. That's the way we have to approach it. It's the only way you can approach it. I know there's a natural break on the 2nd of January, and I'll be delighted to be in front by that stage, which I think we probably will be. But each game, I know how difficult the matches are here. I've not seen an easy one yet, and it's not me playing it down. It's not me being just naturally pessimistic about it or anything like that. I just know the game. I know how tough it is.
However, managers in your position are always looking to strengthen, always looking to build. And we're reading reports today of a possibility of a bid for Darren Huckerby. Can you clarify that?
Don't worry, I was asked that question quite some time ago, and the fact is that I've not made a bid to Leeds United at all. I haven't spoken to David O'Leary about Darren Huckerby whatsoever. But it's just it's continuous, so there's no point in me playing things down or denying or confirming, whatever the case may be. We'll be linked with loads and loads of players when somebody finally comes to Celtic. That's probably the best time to know that he's arrived.
Martin, thank you.
Pleasure.
Good luck. Okay. Just let me just start by asking you a kind of overview of the game as you saw it.
Well, we knew coming here would be a tough game, especially after they drew with Rangers. They seem to be a side who were on the up after an indifferent start to the season. But going in at 3-0 at half time was beyond our wildest dreams, really.
Now, you've been suffering from a fairly bad toe injury lately. Are you over that? 2 goals today would suggest that.
Well, I don't know whether the goal suggests that. I've trained the last week and I've felt better for it, although I've still got a long way to go to get my fitness right, but my toe feels okay now, which is the main thing.
I think one of the main things about today's performance was the fact it was a team performance. Did you see it that way?
Yeah, definitely. I think second half we defended very well. 3-0's a great scoreline for us to go in at half time, but the first 15-20 minutes were important for us not to concede, and I thought our 3 centre halves played well, and the midfield kept the ball very well and supplied good possession for me and Henrik.
Now, Chris, Martin O'Neill is always playing down talk of the league championship, but surely the players must be feeling extremely comfortable now.
We're pleased to be in this position. We've got 2 more games to go before the break, but there's 15 games to go, which is a hell of a lot of points, and Rangers are a quality side, and they'll come again. And Hibs have done very well this season. We were a bit unfortunate to go down at Ibrox last week, and we keep saying it, but we are going to have a spell where things don't go right. And but as long as we keep coming to certainly away from home and digging in, knuckling down, then hopefully we'll be okay.
Frank Gofella there asking the questions. So let me give you all the SPL results this afternoon. It was Dundee United 0, Celtic 4. Larsson's penalty. Chris Sutton there with Frank Gilfeather. He got 2. And Stilian Petrov, his 7th of the season. Dunfermline 3, Aberdeen 2. Crawford, Rossi and Nicholson for Dunfermline. Rowson and Dow for Aberdeen. And that game only went ahead after 2 pre-match pitch inspections. Motherwell 0, Dundee 3. This is a significant result for Ivano Bonetti's side. Sarah with 2, Raig 1, 3-0 to Dundee. But this is a bit of a roughhouse. Stephen Nicholas sent off, so was Morocco of Dundee. At Ibrox, Rangers 3, St Johnstone 0. McCann, Rickson and Flo scoring for Rangers. And at Love Street Paisley, St Mirren 1, Kilmarnock 3. Graham Fenton, ex-Leicester and Blackburn for St Mirren, but a Paul Wright hat-trick won this game for Bobby Williamson's side. Paul Rudden sent off in that match. So on to the league table, and Celtic have a big lead. Hibs are second, it's a 12-point lead. Hibs are second, level on points with Rangers, but 1 goal better off. Hearts stay 5th. Dundee, though, with that win at Fir Park this afternoon, are now in the top 6, and they're looking stronger with every game. Let's have a look then at the updated championship odds. Who's going to win the title? Well, the bookies make Celtic big favourites now. They are 5-1 on to win it. Rangers are 11-4, and poor old Hibs, well, they're still contenders, but the bookies, Charlie, say they are 66-1. Is that about right, would you say, Charlie?
Yeah.
It's a bit cruel on Hibs, is it not?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's that reality that, you know, Hibs have found it difficult to keep pace now. Celtic, I really believe, Jim, now in the next 2 home games, next week tonight, a week tonight, we'll be sitting down St Mirren Rangers, and I believe even if Rangers win that game and don't close the gap, I do think that Celtic will go away in the winter break and think to themselves, the title is going to be ours.
Charlie, he doesn't commit himself, quite rightly, Martin O'Neill, but what is the big difference he's made at Celtic Park? Well,
he's brought the togetherness in, and I think what he's got is that, and I've been saying for 2 or 3 years, and when I was critical of Celtic in the past, and some of the fans didn't always agree with me, but I always said they had to build from the back. I think he brought Valharan in particular. Now Vega is there. He will take time. We'll have to see whether he gets a contract. And then he brings in people like Sutton, and obviously now Neil Lennon's appeared. So the backbone, the structure of the side, he's brought in. He's not really changed it. He's went 3 at the back and says to the wide guys, listen, I want you to come back and do your shift. But when you go forward like Celtic normally do, you're going to be like attacking midfield players. So he's changed the system a little, but he's got passion, he's got unity there, and he's brought that backbone in, and I think that's made all the difference for a good-looking side.
I wonder, though, Charlie, how significant do you feel are the 2 big wins for Rangers against Hibs on Saturday and now against St Johnstone this afternoon? 3-0, and Flo bagged one of them.
I think that it's an influence, there's no doubt about that, and I think when the season starts back at the end of January, Dick Advocaat and his players will be ready for it. They normally come back, they normally get into the groove quite quickly, because the rest will do them all good. But there's no doubt, if you're going to be 9 points if they win their game in hand, but it might be 12 still with the game in hand, I think, you know, you're only looking at another 6 games to 7 games before the actual split happens. And I think that's a significant lead for Celtic. I don't actually see too many teams going to Celtic Park and taking anything other than Rangers. So at the moment in time, Rangers need somebody else to do them a favour. Whereas Celtic can just keep rolling along, and at home, 2 home games to come before the break, they have been absolutely sensational at home.
Do you think Martin O'Neill is being a bit cute, or do you feel he really does believe that Rangers will breathe right down their necks, right to the death?
Jim, I think it's a bit of both. I mean, how often do we hear it from managers? Martin O'Neill is nobody's fool. You know, he's in this position because they deserve it. They merit it. They've been through the battles. They've got their whole team together. Larsson is scoring goals for fun, and they're difficult to score against. And I think Martin has to firmly say, and Martin will tell us this all the way until either he clinches it or he loses it. And, you know, you can't blame him for that. He cannot overcommit himself. But I tell you, if they do go 12 points to the break and Rangers do catch him, I tell you, very, very few people would ever have believed it.
Charlie, looking further down the table now, Dundee, Ivano Bonetti is doing a good job there.
Fantastic.
They're in the top 6. Can they stay there?
I believe they can, Jim. I think when we watched them closely, you know, we've seen them on a couple of occasions, but I think when we've seen them play Celtic in particular, I think we've seen a team who went 1-0 down, playing the best team in the country at the moment, and came back, and I think outplayed them, outpassed them, and Celtic were very fortunate to walk away with 3 points. In fact, Dundee might even have believed they had 3 points themselves that they deserved that night.
He deserves credit
they're
for
a passing
amassing
side.
good players.
They didn't have Caniggia today. If he does stay on, then they will make the top 6, and deservedly so.
OK, Charlie, thanks. Well, that is it for tonight. The next live football on Sky Sports comes tomorrow night when Southampton meets Spurs in the FA Carling Premiership. That's from 7 o'clock on Sky Sports 1 and Sky Sports Extra. OK, 1-1 it finished this afternoon. Hibs went ahead, Hearts battled back. It was a good Edinburgh derby. Hope you enjoyed it this Boxing Day. From Charlie Nicholas and myself, bye for now.
Bye now.